Hello, everyone. My name is Lola Oguntade, and welcome to Lola's Voice. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about something different, something new. I know it's been a while you've seen me. I'm trying, but you guys just have to forgive me. I'm trying to be consistent. And it's still a new year, so happy new year. I've spoken to a lot of people this new year, and people are talking about their goals. And I see a lot of people have like health and wellness on their goals. And when they're talking about health and wellness, people often focus on like physical health and but the bigger part of health and wellness is mental health. And how can we take care of these? How can we manage these? So today we are going to be streamlining our conversation. Mental health is broad, but I want to talk about something different. I want to talk about mental fatigue, burnout, and stress. As adults, like the new set of adults, we are the millennials, the Gen Zs, and adulthood is catching up on all of us. Like we didn't ask to be this adult, and a lot of us are working, multiple jobs. People are looking to start their business. People have like families. Some people are going to school, just doing multiple things at the same time. And we only have just one body. How then can we manage this thing, manage everything we're trying to do and not burn out, not break out? Because you have to be able to like identify this thing. And I'm not going to having this conversation alone, even though I'm a licensed therapist myself. I've brought in a senior colleague that's going to be having this conversation with me. And we're going to be talking about mental fatigue, burnout, and stress, how it can be properly managed. Hi, Mr. Allen.
Hi. Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to Lola's Voice. It's been a while. I've been chasing you since when?
For a while. So I finally made it.
Finally, yeah. So finally. So you've listened to my introduction. So I want to talk about like mental fatigue.
Okay.
Just before we get to burnout. I feel like burnout is like the worst part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not looking for people to get to that stage because your body's going to give you signs, it's going to give you symptoms, your body's going to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And I continue to tell people that the greatest form of empowerment is self-awareness, just knowing yourself entirely. And that entails knowing your physical self, your mental stress, your mental level and everything. And this is something that happened to me personally. I had like severe mental fatigue last year. And I didn't burn out, but I was so close to it. And that was because I could identify it. I could bring out all my toolbox and just use this for myself just because I have the skill set to do that. And I thought about that like other people, like I was experiencing brain fog at a point in time. And, for like a whole week, I didn't do anything. I had to like close my laptop. I didn't do anything. So now, how would you describe mental fatigue?
Okay. I mean, I think you did a great job in describing it just now.
Okay.
So good job.
Okay.
Mental fatigue is sort of taking on a lot and not having a balance, not being able to figure out what the triggers are to mental fatigue. Sometimes we take on so much, working, having a family life, adding in a social life in there with that. Before you know it, you're feeling the symptoms of it, which is fatigue, burnout, and that type of thing. So I think one of the main things is to be able to identify the triggers to that. If I start to get tired, anxious, depressed, trouble sleeping, trouble eating, all of those are warning signs that something could be off and it needs to be addressed. And there's a lot of different ways to address that type of thing. Of course, I'm a therapist, so I'm biased, but I always say I think everybody should have a therapist.
Okay.
It helps with just dealing with everyday life, especially nowadays, post-COVID. A lot of things have come out that we were already aware of therapists, but more people becoming more aware of mental health and the importance of having mental health. Mental health.
Okay. So thank you for the explanation. Thank you for that description. And what are the signs that people can look out for? I know it's hard for like people out there. Like a lot of people are like immigrating to new countries where they have to work, they have to go to school, they still have families. So I just can't imagine what people are going through. And I think the biggest part is like the balance. Like,
Yeah.
how do you find the balance? When do you know when to take a break? How do you know when to pause? How do you know when to pause? I think that's what I'm looking for. Or how do you know when to pause?
It's like what you talked about earlier, where your body actually will start giving you signs where you're just tired all the time, or I think you gave me an example where you were driving your car and even your car knew you was tired.
Yeah. So last year something happened to me. Last year I was working like I was owing IRS. Technically, that was how I was working. But I wasn't even owing IRS, but I just wanted to work. I didn't even know why I wanted to work that much. And I was working. I knew I was tired. Like my soul, my body was telling me I was tired. But I was just still, I gotta do this. I have people to see, I have work to do, deadlines to meet, blah, 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 blah. And one night I was driving home 11 o'clock and I saw a coffee sign pull up on my car. Man, I don't even know what that is. I didn't know what it means, but it was saying park. My car was telling me to park, but I knew I wasn't going to park at 11:30 in the night. Like, I'm just going to get home, but I was scared. Like, what is this saying? So when I got home, I Googled the sign. So technically my car was telling me I am tired and I need a break. I was ashamed of myself at that period. Like, how dare you push yourself that much? Yeah. And, I just had to like take necessary break. I think I took about a week break of not talking to anybody, not doing anything, not seeing anybody, no paperwork, no deadlines, no nothing. I just closed my life. And I was and sometimes that's another thing. People feel guilty for resting. Like people feel guilty for resting. Like a lot of people work Monday to Saturday, and on Sunday where you're just chilling on your couch, just resting, this unnecessary guilt start popping up. How do you deal with that?
Well, it's a great point, and I don't think we should feel guilty. And I'm glad that you took those measures. Your body, your mind was telling you that you needed a break. Your car was telling you that you needed a break.
That's the worst.
So when you put all those things together, you listened and you took a break. I don't think we should feel guilty about that. Life is about balance. You can't be too far too extreme one way or another. Or, I don't think we're just not designed that way. We're designed to have a good balance of life, work, pleasure, family, and so on. So I don't think we should feel guilty about it at all. And, but I do think it's part of the culture where, especially with the younger folks, like you talked about yourself, where, you're and folks that come into this country, they're such hard workers and they feel like, there's these deadlines and things that I have to meet and goals that I want to meet. But the reality is, these things don't happen overnight. Instant gratification. We also live in that culture where we want it and we want it now. But, that's not realistic. Okay. And what's realistic is just having a balance, having a good therapist to talk to points you in that direction to where we're not having irrational thoughts. An irrational thought is thinking that I could have this thing overnight. No, it doesn't work that way. It's a step-by-step process, balancing your life, not feeling guilty about things. And before you know it, you're accomplishing all your goals in a healthy manner. Okay.
So healthy manner. Okay. So while you're talking, something came to my mind. I don't know if you've heard of the word accumulated stress. So because I was talking to someone, I think last week, she has a 3-year-old daughter. But ever since she had a daughter, she has never had like any help. It's just been her. And, she was saying, Miss Lola, I am tired. Like she's tired from 3 years. I don't know if like she started from like 3 years ago or just the thought of like, I've been with this girl or my daughter ever since she was born for 3 years. Nobody has been there to help me, doing everything by herself. But now I I just need someone to take this baby away from me. That is stress. That is not a now stress. How can people deal with like accumulated stress? I don't know if there's a word like if there's anything like accumulated stress, but talking to me, I saw like this is an accumulated stress.
Well, yeah. And in life has a lot of stressors. Like you mentioned this young lady with a child and all the burdens that come along with that. Again, things have to be identified. You have to be able to identify the triggers before it becomes accumulated. You started taking on we start taking on all these different things. And then before we know it, we're not functioning at all, because now you're getting to that burnout stage where, it's crash and burn. So the key is to try to not get to that point, to be able to identify triggers, to be able to have a balanced life. Sometimes we need help with that. We need a coach, we need a therapist, because we get so caught up in doing what we're doing. Before you know it, you're having the symptoms of burnout or fatigue. And at that point, some people are able to break out of, like you were able to do that yourself because maybe you're a therapist and you know the tools. But a lot of people don't know the tools. They don't even recognize what's going on. There's a lot of physical symptoms that can happen in the body. So sometimes folks think it's a medical emergency. Anxiety attacks can mimic heart attacks and all other medical conditions. So the key is you just don't want to get to that point. And I always encourage people, talk to a mental health professional. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. It just means that you need that professional to help guide you and point you in the right direction.
Okay, thank you for that. And I'm glad you made mention of triggers. So, how can someone that is not a mental health professional, not everybody can afford therapists, and that's why I'm having this conversation. How can someone with no skills, but going through all these stressors, trying to find a balance? And I've even seen sometimes content creators have they can't create content just because. And they worry about it. But in my mind, when I read them, I'm like, you just need to take a break and it's going to come back to you. So how can someone who is not a mental health therapist, who doesn't have any coping skills, who doesn't have any of these things, identify the trigger of mental fatigue? I didn't even want them to get to burnout. That's why I keep using the word mental fatigue, brain fog, because burnout, then, you've crashed. But mental fatigue, that's still like a sign, a symptom, it's just like when you are like a carpenter or something, you're doing physical work, like your body will be tired, then to use Advil. But once your brain, a brain is also a muscle. So once that brain is tired, how can you identify that? Because if my body's tired, I'll just feel little pain, sore, then I know to go take Advil or, just rest or sleep or do something. How do I know when my brain is tired?
Well, you mentioned some of the things already, and there's a lot of physical symptoms. The brain controls the entire body. So if the mind and the brain is not healthy, your entire body you're going to feel it. You're going to feel like you did a workout. When you didn't do a workout, your muscles are sore. You have other conditions in the body. And so that's one way of being able to identify where there's changes in the body. You could think it's a health problem. Changes in your sleep. Some people will sleep more, some people will sleep less. It depends on the person. Eating habits. Depression, if someone's feeling more sad and more hopeless than normal, that's also a trigger or a sign that there is mental fatigue going on. So when you see all these little things start to happen, it's happening for a reason. And I would encourage your folks to just, if that's happening to them, just pause, take a step back and say, okay, what's going on with me? I'm not myself. I'm not feeling right. Even if you can't talk to a therapist, talk to somebody.
Sure.
Throw it out there. Hey, this is what's going on. What do you think? And, you can get a lot of really good feedback from loved ones, friends, and that type of thing. And from there, you start to make the changes that are necessary, which I'm sure you're going to talk about. And again, one of the main things I believe is just having a really good balance. Not, like you said, not feeling guilty about taking time out to rest, to do something fun, to do something for yourself.
Do something for yourself.
Right.
I think I like that.
We're in the caregiving field, and a lot of people that you probably talk to care for others, whether it be their children, their parents. They may have a job in their caregiving field, so we feel guilty sometimes in this field because we're so geared to help others.
And you forget yourself.
We forget ourselves. And, last time I checked, the good book says to treat others as well as you treat yourself.
I agree.
Not more or less, but as well. So you're also responsible to yourself to treat yourself well.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah. So the other thing I'm just going to add, and this is not like the symptom, you talked about the symptoms. I just want to talk about, people should learn how to delegate more. I feel like a lot of people are perfectionists and they just want to do everything for themselves, by
Mm-hmm.
themselves. But, you have to learn how to like delegate, use the resources you have around you and not try to, and outsource, to be honest. There are a lot of things that people can do for you right now. And yeah, there are a lot of things people can do for you right now. And, you can just pay, if it's something you can pay for. Don't feel guilty if you pay someone to come clean your house. To
Mm-hmm.
be honest, if you're working that much,
Mm-hmm.
you should, Sundays that you should be relaxing and, you are still cleaning. You get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So
Yeah.
don't feel guilty, be able to delegate and outsource as necessary. And I think the other thing I want to talk about is, so we talk about the symptoms. So from the symptoms, I think you spoke about the management, how it can be managed. So once we've been able to identify these triggers, how then can we manage that? Like having a good sleeping pattern,
Mm-hmm.
eating well. Once you've identified that, okay, I think my brain is tired right now. For me, I swear by almighty magnesium. I don't know if people, but I don't used to take
Mm-hmm.
that vitamin, but last year I was researching more on like, just supplements for brain fog and,
Mm-hmm.
magnesium supplements. It just calm your brain down. You don't have to take it very, and I'm not a doctor, please.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it's over the counter, but I've
Mm-hmm.
used it and it worked for me. Maybe like, I haven't used it in like 2 months because I've not been doing much. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
But,
Yes.
once you start exposing yourself to that level of rigorous work, you have to, it's something I use over the counter. It's sweet. I just put one in my mouth. It just calm your body down and, he helps you sleep, relaxes your muscle and all of that. Yeah, I want to talk about management, how to
Yes.
manage that
Uh-huh.
and get out of that. I know you keep mentioning balance, balance, balance.
Mm-hmm.
Can you expatiate more on balancing?
Well, I'll talk a bit more about balancing, but just sometimes just getting back to the basics. And I'm not a medical doctor either, but I tell a lot of my patients, getting back to the basics. That means just getting out and taking a walk,
Mm-hmm.
getting sunlight,
Mm-hmm. Sunlight.
lots of water,
Mm-hmm.
eat healthy. Exercise does wonders. Exercise, increases endorphins and, feel good chemicals in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some real basic things that you can do, that will even get you in the right mindset to get balanced, because now you're feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel better, you feel more motivated to do the things that will balance you.
That's true.
You feel like getting out of bed when normally you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're out of bed, you have that energy to do things. So, getting back to the basics: water, exercise, good health, and then from there, again, managing is just basically, I know I'm gonna use the word balance again, having a balanced life, not feeling guilty about doing something fun,
Mm-hmm.
doing something for yourself, going on vacation if you can afford it, go out and watch a movie. Like, do what you did. I'm taking the day off. I'm taking a mental health day. I'm not going to work today.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all of that is part of management, is adding the little different components that need to be there. It's not just about work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about taking care of it. All that's important. Taking care of people is great. Working is great. Taking care of your family is great. But also managing to get in the gym, work out. If there's foods that you're eating that don't make you feel good, and after you eat it, you feel guilty, and don't eat that.
Mm-hmm.
Drink 8. I think the recommendation is 8 glasses of water a day. Get sunlight if you can get sunlight.
Mm-hmm. And that sunlight is like really, really important if you live in this
Mm-hmm.
part of the world. Like
Mm-hmm.
vitamin D deficiency is real, and
Mm-hmm.
those things can cause you fatigue. It can make you tired if you're not getting exposure to sunlight,
Mm-hmm.
and if you have to use the supplement, especially during winter, and based on your doctor's recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be sure I'm covering everything before you leave.
Okay.
Good timing. Did we miss out anything? Did we?
I think you hit a lot of really key points.
Mm-hmm.
I just, the stigma of mental health. I want to say this: the stigma of mental health is getting better. There's always been a huge stigma on it for many years. I'm happy to say that's getting better. People are beginning to recognize now that having good mental health is very important. I remind people that the brain is one of the largest organs of the body. I think the only organ larger than the brain is the skin. It's one of the largest organs of the body, and it controls everything. So if the mind isn't well, nothing is well.
That's true.
So when we go to the doctor for a stomach ache, or it's okay, but for some reason, if you go because something's wrong with the mind, all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're weak-minded, get over it. No, sometimes the mind can get sick just like anything else. And I would encourage folks to not feel any shame or stigma when reaching out and getting help.
Okay.
I just want to throw that in there.
Okay, that was necessary. That's important. I still have conversation with people, even, clients that would say, I'm just here because my mom wants me to be here. Nothing is wrong with me. Why do I have all these diagnoses and everything? So it's just a diagnosis. You're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. It's just like when they say you have fever, anybody can have mental health illness at any point in time of their life. We're going to experience severe changes that would put a trigger or like a stressor on our body. And like you said, it can weaken the mind. So if you're not taking anything away from this podcast, I just want you to know rest is not a recommendation, it's a requirement. And don't feel guilty about resting, balancing, like you've heard, balancing, take as much rest as you can. And, hopefully I wish you all a wonderful year. Health and wellness is part of like the SDG goal for 2024 as well. So a lot of people are big on it. They're big on physical health. They're big on eating healthy. So why not let us throw mental health out there? So identifying the stressors of mental fatigue, burnout, and, brain fog. Let me know if you enjoy watching this episode. If you have any question, you can put it down in the comment section. And thank you for joining, and thank you for watching Lola's Voice today. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you for sticking with me. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, share, comment, engage with the content. And I really appreciate you all for sticking with me. Thank you. Lola's Voice.